Poland is starting to withdraw from the Istanbul Convention. It's a European treaty which prevents violence against women. Warsaw says it imposes controversial ideologies about gender and doesn't respect religion. Human rights groups say, though, this is a major step backwards. Our correspondent Shona Murray has been following the story for us, and we can find out more if we go to Brussels now. Morning to you, Shona. What has been the reaction from European lawmakers to Poland's decision?
Well, Rosie, over the weekend we did see quite high levels of condemnation from many MEPs from across the bloc. And so this is a big issue for Brussels because the Commission had hoped to prioritise the issue of violence against women for some time. But let's talk to an expert here. I'm joined now by Iwerna McGowan, expert in human rights. Iwerna, first of all, what does this mean for women in Poland?
The developments are very concerning for the women in Poland. The Convention on Violence Against Women is one of the most comprehensive laws to combat violence against women in the world. So this is really a very worrying signal that the government is sending, that it does not wish to provide this protection for women's rights in Poland.
So the government says that the convention itself, it doesn't align with their, I suppose, principles and ideology. Is that fair enough for a reason to walk away from this convention?
There's an attempt to create confusion, but let's be very clear. There's nothing controversial about a law that's primary objective is to allow women to live their lives in dignity free from violence. And if that very point is up for debate, then I think all across Europe there needs to be serious pressure put on the Polish government to sign up to this convention.
Of course, this happens just days after the EU budget was agreed, where billions and billions of euros will go to countries like Poland and governments like Poland. Do you think this is quite a cynical move by the government?
Well, I do believe that EU leaders should also take up the message. We did see some commitment to rule of law issues and conditionality, but when it really comes down to it, we've seen issues, of course, of independence of the judiciary in Poland, a crackdown on LGBT rights. If the European Union really wants to live up to its commitment to human rights and democracy, I feel that it's very important that we do make receipt of EU funds conditional on compliance with the rule of law and human rights, because clearly, softer commitments alone are not working. So today we need strong political support for the women in Poland and some pressure, and we also need to see that conditionality included in the rule of law. We need to get serious about human rights in Europe.
But what can Brussels do? Because it can't compel a member state to sign up to an international convention.
This is a concern not just for women in Poland, it's a question for women's rights everywhere. If we don't have comprehensive laws in Poland, domestic violence or violence against women does not stop at borders. It undermines our confidence that the rights will be protected for women crossing borders, for in other countries. And the European Union, as you'd mentioned earlier, it fundamentally undermines to have a strong common approach and, for heaven's sake, to fundamentally agree that violence against women is unacceptable and that women must be free to live in dignity.
Iwerna McGowan, thank you very much for joining us. And back to you in the studio, Rosie.
Shona, thank you very much, our correspondent there in Brussels.